Hey, what's up guys? My name is Ryan Johnson. This is my Club Sport Conversion GTI 2015. Last time it was on the dyno, it was at about a medium tune. It made 390 wheel horsepower and 430 wheel torque. Yeah, so the power band on the vehicle, it's really flat. Basically, peak power starts to hit right around 4,000, and it carries all the way to redline, which is about 65, 6,600, and torque's quite flat as well. That coupled with the DSG is really why the vehicle is as fast as it is. It doesn't make ridiculous amounts of power, but power to weight along with you know, the continually shifting transmission, dual clutch, it's fun to say the least. Yeah, highway speeds if you needed to pass somebody. Yeah, just normal 93.
You ever ran it on E85?
Oh yeah, yeah. It makes about 20 wheel horsepower more, and even more torque. The Club Sport GTI is something that was never introduced in the United States. It was basically built for the Nürburgring. It was built as a high performance version of the GTI. They used the GTI because it was lighter and it handled a little bit better. And it was based off the GTI Performance Pack, which is what this car started as. And what they did was they've added some aero to the vehicle. They used the GTI, or I'm sorry, the Golf R engine and turbo. The only engine difference really is the turbo. There's some minor head differences in there as well. And then they added larger brakes, better suspension, both front and rear. And like I said, the aero is kind of the big factor, which is why I did the front end conversion. It's got a different spoiler on it. This is not the Club Sport spoiler. Yeah, it was built for the Nürburgring, and it actually broke the world record for the fastest front wheel drive vehicle around the Nürburgring, production vehicle. And it held that title for a little over a year until the Type R beat it by about a second or so. So I bought the Club Sport conversion from Deutsche Auto Parts. You guys actually had it in stock. It's not just a bolt-on bumper. Obviously you have to have it painted and assemble it and stuff like that. But it is all OE, European spec Club Sport parts from Volkswagen. It's beautiful. I love the way it looks. It's really unique. Because I think it got its popularity because it broke that Nürburgring record, the Club Sport. If it didn't do that, nobody would kind of know what it is here stateside. So this is kind of the first Volkswagen platform that I personally would consider it has major tunability. Not that the Mark IV or any prior gen didn't. This was the first car that you could throw a tune on and run, you know, low 13s or 12s. And if it's a Golf R, low 12s or high 11s with just, you know, simple bolt-ons and a tune. And I think that's what really attracted me and attracts a lot of other guys, and what made our Facebook group grow as fast as it had. It's an awesome platform, and it's only going to continue to grow. As you know, the Mark 8 is going to be based off this car right here, just a modified version like the Mark 6 was off the Mark 5. It's got your normal bolt-ons, to be honest with you. I've never opened up the engine, never opened up the transmission. So internals are all stock, but it's got just about every bolt-on you can imagine. All right, so here's my engine bay. It looks probably like every other engine bay, just maybe a little dirtier because it hasn't been cleaned in probably a year or two. IS38, maybe a little bit bigger than what it came from the factory, but factory on the Golf Rs and S3 and the Club Sport. Kind of what makes this vehicle as fast as it is a lot of it's the custom tuning. This thing does have a JB4 in here. Right now, it's like I said, it's overlapped on top of an APR file, and it is an older APR file because the older files do run a little bit more timing, and I can add the boost in with the JB4 along with a little bit better fuel profile for the type of fuel that I'm running. But the JB4, along with all the bolt-ons kind of combined, is what is that perfect recipe for making the most power with the stock turbo. The best thing about the stock turbo too is the fact that you have power so early and such a wide power band. Full torque comes on by 3,300, 3,800 RPM, and max power is already hit by 5,000. It just carries that all the way to red line. So when you're sitting there shifting with the DSG, you're in max power band the entire time, and it's a very flat power band. It's not because I don't enjoy driving a manual, because I do. It's the speed that you get, the fast shifting, the reliability. When I say reliability, I mean this is still a stock clutch car. It's got a few hundred launches on it, several hundred pulls. As you can see, there's a little wheel spin, but by the time you hit third, it's been extremely reliable. The only catastrophic things that have ever happened to this vehicle were kind of self-induced. Like I said, I've ran slicks and drag radials on this car a lot. I would say the only major break that I ever had was I broke an axle carrier on a launch. I launched on 22 PSI. It grabbed great. I cut a 1.5 60-foot time, and then it grabbed second gear, and it adds even more boost to get it caught up to 32. The second it hit second gear, snapped an axle. And because it's got the performance pack version where the differential locks, believe it or not, I was still able to drive down the entire strip because it shoved all the power to the other side. So I was able to pull over and get all the way down. But that's the most catastrophic thing that's happened. Otherwise, this vehicle's been great, man. But I do maintain it. You know, I do my oil changes every 2,500 miles just because I do drive it a little bit harder than most people would. I use good fluids. I've done my trans service every 10,000 miles. I'm a big believer in maintenance, you know. This is the original IS38 from 2015 too. I run over 30 PSI regularly on the IS38, and I mean, knock on wood, this thing's been pretty darn reliable so far, so I can't complain. So I did go, I went pretty far out with the vehicle at one point. I stripped it out, had racing buckets in it. The seats only weighed like 18 pounds a piece. Race exhaust, you know, straight through. It was loud, suspension was stiff. I still drove it pretty much daily. Not ideal for having kids and a happy wife, but
with no back seats.
Yeah, with no back. I put the back seats on these things. You can get in and out within about 5 minutes. We had another kid, and that was kind of the turning point with the vehicle. After I had another kid, that's when I started selling some of the quote-unquote race car parts and putting it back to a street trim. So I've softened it up, I've quieted it down, and you know, put all the stock parts kind of back on the interior and exterior. You wouldn't know it by looking at it, but still daily drive, get 30 miles per gallon more or less, and she's held her own. There's some videos out there that you can feel free to see. I don't know who was driving in those videos, but
Holy shit, your car's fast! Holy shit! Jesus Christ! Are you actually selling this car?
Yeah, it's for sale right now. I put it up a couple weeks ago, just for some feelers. Listen, I love the car. I don't need to sell it, but I have 3 cars. Listen, I put 500 miles on it in the last 6 months, and most of that was on a road trip to get it back down here. So it's one of those things that's just sitting. I wish somebody else could enjoy it, but yeah, it's for sale right now.
Go buy it.
Yeah, well, if you have a stock GTI, don't be afraid to start modifying the vehicle. These things are overbuilt. Like I said, mine's all stock internals, transmission, engine, and everything like that. These are made to hold a whole lot of power, and they only get more and more fun. Listen, if you have some kind of warranty concern or something like that, I get that, where you don't want to TD1 your car, but these cars are a whole lot of fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed this platform, and I'm gonna miss this car.